We've been talking lately and many times about the importance of Kedushat Brit, the holiness of the covenant with Hashem. It's called Kedushat Brit, but it's not only referring to circumcision, rather on guarding the Brit, and which means in simple words that a man and a woman can only have marital relations when they're legally married. Any other type of relations is considered a sin, and there are many types of situations that it will be a severe sin if one of them is married, and if the woman has her period, her monthly cycle, and many other things. And of course, unfortunately, in our generation, and I shouldn't even say our generation, this is the problem from day one, is that also it's done in a way that is not moral and not legal and not part of the Torah. When it's the same gender, different genders, animals, all sorts of things involved in that. And then, of course, a very horrible habit that many have is to want to pleasure him or herself in a way that is in a single way. And then, of course, the man, if he ejaculates sperm that doesn't go into a holy kli, that's a severe sin. Because the person, we just read that in the Tikkun Memchet, when a person takes his semen, his sperm, and doesn't go into the right kli, into the right vessel, it goes into the sitra acha. And we just read from the Zohar, that's like uprooting the tree of life, going into Gan Eden with a shovel, and digging out the tree of life and taking it out of Gan Eden and putting it into the sitra acha, to the other side of holiness. That's how severe it is. Very, very sad, many rabbis, I'm not talking about people who are secular or non-Jews, rabbis, they go against people who are talking about this topic. Just the other day, somebody came against me very strong. How dare you tell people not to, excuse my language, masturbate? Where do you come up with this nonsense? How dare you scare people and tell them this is a severe sin? For me, a person that says that, he's guilty in it 1,000%. That he's coming out loud against it. So this rabbi, I don't know if to call him a rabbi, for me it's a clown, that can come out in such a way to condemn it. I told him quietly, I'm sorry to tell you, but just the fact that you are condemning it, I can't even imagine what you do behind closed doors. That you are going against it to protect, so to say, the distorted way of your thinking. First of all, this is a Isur D'Oraita. This is found in the Torah about the kids of Yehuda, Er and Onan, that they used to go to their wife Tamar. It says, Dash mi bifnim v'zorea mi bachutz, that they didn't want her to get pregnant. Er didn't want her to get pregnant, so he would be with her. And the way the Torah says, Dash mi bifnim, he means he's inside, but zorea mi bachutz, but plants outside. That he used, and the Torah says he used to spill the seed on the ground not to get her pregnant. And this is one of the most worst things. It says, V'ra be'enei Hashem, it was horrible and evil in the eyes of Hashem, and he killed him right away. And that was the same thing also with Onan, and so forth. And also, even Adam HaRishon, the Zohar says that for 130 years, he was Pogem B'Brit. He wasn't with his wife. He divorced Chava, who was at the time named Chaya. Later on, he had to do tshuva. The Arizal says he sat in the Gihon. The Gihon is one of the rivers. He sat all the way in the Gihon for 130 years. To do tshuva for 130 years of Pogem B'Brit. The whole Zohar is just talking of Pogem B'Brit. The Talmud is talking about it. There's not one place that doesn't talk about it. So to say this is a hoax or this is against the Torah, that's really taking the entire Torah and going against it. Now, why am I saying this right now? Because in our parasha, we're in Parashat Pinchas. For the diaspora, they're in Parashat Balak. But Pinchas and Balak are attached because the whole act of Pinchas was last week. Now, what was the act with Pinchas? There were two individuals. First of all, after the attempt of a Holocaust by Bilam that didn't work, then the suggestion was send the girls of Moab, not Moab, just equip them with high heels, some nice lipstick and perfume, and big cleavage, and let them bring everybody down. And of course, that dragged a big plague, And after that came Zimri ben Salu, who was the Nesi, the head of the tribe of Shimon, and he took a girl from the nation of Midian, and he comes to Moshe, and he tells him, is this woman permitted for me to be with? And Moshe started answering, before you answer, Moishele, if you say no, then who permitted you to take also a girl from Midian named Tzipporah? Of course, he mocked Moshe in his face. You don't do such a thing without paying the consequences for that. And of course, Pinchas kind of lost it, as they say, when Zimri ben Salu took this girl, Kusbi Batsur, who was the daughter of a king, and he made a horrible act with her in front of everybody. Now, we find it hard to think, what do you mean he made an act in front of everybody? That is not appropriate. Oh, really? You know, there's an industry in our generation, and also in other generation, it's called pornography. That people do it in front of thousands of people. And people think it's totally normal. Hey, you want to get together and I'll give you the login to this website? This is what Zimri did. What do you think Zimri did? So he was probably the first who started the industry. So Pinchas, in other words, he freaked out. He flipped. How can you do such a thing? And of course, he did the brave act that he stabbed them both in their private part, lift them up that everybody could see. Hashem did to him 12 miracles and so forth. But what I want to point out is something very, very powerful. And for that, I'm first going to take a side note. Paro in Mitzrayim, of course, the king of Mitzrayim, he wasn't a regular king. He was a mechashef. He was a sorcerer, a warlock. He used a lot of magic against the nation of Israel and many other nations. And of course, he wanted to control the world, rule the world, and so forth. But he was very limited in his power. He was only able to control the land of Mitzrayim. Out of Mitzrayim, he didn't have control. Paro. I mean, we know Paro. Paro was a little individual. The Talmud says he was Amma, like this tall, maybe 50 centimeters. Very small individual, kind of like mini-me. And with the thing. And anyways, was a very evil individual, but he had control over the land of Mitzrayim. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh says that he was the male part of the Sitra Achra. But after they left Mitzrayim, Paro also left Mitzrayim. And he was able to survive the tsunami of the splitting of the sea. Everybody died besides him. And then he migrated till he came to a city called Nineveh, and he was the king of Nineveh. But his evil powers spread out throughout the world. So now the control of the Sitra Achra went to the entire world. The Orach Chaim says that later on manifested to the female part of Tum'ah, of the Sitra Achra. And the Orach Chaim himself said that when he fought spiritually with the Zachar, with the male, he was able to overcome him with no problem. But when he had to fight the female, he wasn't able to overcome her so easily. Now, we do know that the control of the Sitra Achra, we are aware, of course, of the Samech Mem. Samech Mem is a shortened name of the devil. Samech Mem Aleph Lamed. We don't pronounce his name, but he has 4 wives, and we're going to learn a little bit about them in the Zohar when we start learning about the civilization that lives under the ground. I know I promised you we're going to learn it, and we're going to learn it very soon. It's a lot of material, it's a lot of Zohar, but there is a civilization under the ground that Adam HaRishon mated with some of the wives of the Samech Mem and created what's called Shedim Muglamim, a demon that is dressed in a body. And there's a whole civilization under the ground. We'll learn about that. This is not some hoax or some conspiracy theory. This is said in the Zohar very clearly, and not only in the Zohar, in many great books, Rabbeinu Bechayei, the Orach Chaim, and many others. And we're going to quote them all because people think that some people are a little bit cuckoo. But nevertheless, there are a few wives of the Samech Mem. Sorry, I'm not looking up. I just want to find something in the Torah, in the Siddur. So the Samech Mem, his name is Samech Mem Aleph Lamed. If you remember, a few days ago when we learned about the brachot, I told you that Samech Mem Aleph Lamed is the acronym of the 4 enemies that are surrounding the land of Israel. Samech is for the Samech Mem is Syria, Mem is Mitzrayim, Egypt, Aleph is Iran, and Lamed is Lebanon, the countries that are surrounding Eretz Israel. These are the manifestation of the Samech Mem who has control over us, but nevertheless, he is nothing compared to his dear wife. Now, one of his wives, his name is Lamed Yud Taf. Don't say her name, because you will call her to come to you, and as it is, she comes and is attached to you all day long. Now, if you have, I should say the other round, if she has you in her claws, it's almost a lost case. This is one way of saying it. Look at this, it's just unbelievable. I'm trying to find a certain place in the Siddur, and look how she's confusing me. I can't even find it. It's unbelievable, yeah. Anyways, her name is Lamed Yud Taf, and I warn you, don't mess with her. We learned many times about her in the Zohar, but what she does, every time a husband and wife are together in the most kosher way, she stands next to the bed. She's just waiting for one drop to come out. This is the most kosher way. An observant husband and wife, they're legally married. The wife is after the mikveh. Everything is perfectly aligned. She stands next to the bed, waiting for one drop just to come out, to take this drop and to impregnate herself. Here, there's we're going to learn that in another time. That's not what I want to show up, but there is a bracha in Shmona Esrei that it says, Laminim v'lemalshinim al tihi tikva. This is an additional prayer, by the way. It's an addition part in Shmona Esrei. So we know based on the pshat, because there were many people who would snitch and rat on the Jews what they're doing, and then as a result from that, yeshivot and synagogues will get burnt, and mikvehs and whatever it is. So our sages added a prayer, laminim v'lamalshinim, the ones who go against and they rat out. But if you look at the sidurim that are organized by the Shita, the path of the Arizal and the Rashash, he says here something very interesting. V'chol hazedim karega yuvedu, and all the ones who are doing bad should be uprooted right away. V'chol oivecha, all your enemies, and he has in the small letters the Samech Mem. Your enemies is the Samech Mem. V'chol sonecha, and the ones who goes against you, Lamed Yud Taf. Me'era yikaretu, they should be uprooted right away. U'malchut harish'ah, you know who's Malchut harish'ah? This is the New World Order, the Illuminati. Me'era te'aker, u'teshaber, u'techalem. It should be uprooted, should be crushed into pieces, v'techalem, and disappear from the world, v'tachniem, and you should subdue them, b'mera v'yamenu, right away in our days. So you see, who's controlling the Malchut harish'ah? Who's controlling the New World Order? Is of course the Samech Mem and Lamed Yud Taf. The Samech Mem, not that I want to deal with him, but he's nothing compared to his wife, Lamed Yud Taf. Now, to the point that I wanted to get. Open the Chumash in Parashat Pinchas. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe le'emor. Hashem speaks to Moshe in order to give over. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. Pinchas, we are revealed the lineage. Pinchas, the son of Elazar, who's like I don't know if to say the top, but the selected son of Aaron, because Nadav and Avihu died, right? Itamar was also a great individual, but Elazar was chosen to take over, the son of Aaron HaKohen. Now pay attention. 6 words. Heshiv chamati me'al bnei Israel. Heshiv chamati me'al bnei Israel. He took back my anger that was placed over the nation of Israel. Why was the anger placed over the nation of Israel? Because they went with the girls of Moab, right? There was a party. A 3-day party, lots of drugs and alcohol. Woodstock. Heshiv chamati. Chamati I told you already that when we pray Arvit, everybody, Sfard, Ashkenaz, Lubavitch, they all say the same verse. I don't want to repeat that because we learned that maybe 20 times. There's 4 names of the Mashchitim in there. Af, Avon, Chema, and Shachat. The worst of all of them is Chema. He is the one you really don't want to mess with. Avon. This is the first one, Avon. Right? You remember that verse? I don't have to repeat myself, okay? Okay, so Chema is the one that is the most cuckoo. When they went and sinned with the girls, the Chema, this Mashchit, he aroused the anger of Hashem, because they're also prosecutors. They're like little snitches, go up to Hashem, look what they're doing. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu also, in simple words, lost it. This is what you do? I just saved you from a Holocaust, and you thanking me with a party? So Kadosh Baruch Hu flipped out also. When Pinchas did this act, Heshiv et Chamati, he took Chema and he moved him, he cooled everything down, and the anger that the Chema is also anger, he moved the anger of Hashem me'al bnei Israel, above the nation of Israel. Now, open the Chumash and look, and if you can't look, I will tell you. Look at the words, Et Chamati me'al bnei Israel. You holding the Siddur? You holding the Chumash? Look at the words, Et Chamati, my anger, me'al bnei Israel. Do you think we are now having Hashem's mercy upon us? Many will say, of course, what? Hashem loves us. We can do whatever we want and Hashem loves us. That's what some people preach and say. I will correct that. No. I don't see any Midat HaRachamim right now, although, listen, who am I to say? Maybe what's happening now is the Rachamim. Maybe we were supposed to be now under a mushroom cloud already. Maybe we were supposed to be now in FEMA camps already. I don't know. Maybe there is a lot of mercy. But I can tell you that what I see, and maybe people can disagree, there's a pretty much of a Midat Adin, very stretched right now. The fact that nothing is happening is unbelievable mercy of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But nevertheless, I feel that there is a little bit of anger from Hashem above us. And I told you many things that I saw, know, and read. Kadosh Baruch Hu has it a little bit, we crossed some lines in the last few years. And again, look at the words, Et Chamati, my anger, me'al bnei Israel, above the nation of Israel. Now read it backwards. Israel bnei me'al Chamati et, but only focus on on the last letters, which is the first letters if you read it backwards, but focus on the Sofei Otiyot. Israel ends with a Lamed. Bnei ends with a Yud. Me'al ends with a Lamed. Chamati ends with a Yud. Et ends with a Taf. What do you get? Lamed Yud Taf. When Lamed Yud Taf, when she comes into the picture to get us distracted because some high heels, or excuse my language, some bare skin, you get the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We get Chema. We get the anger of Hashem. This is the lines we don't cross. Now the sad reality is that 99.99999, there's no more digits of the planet, is in the hands of Lamed Yud Taf, that most people don't even have a way to get away from her. You get away from her from 2 days, come back. I don't need to continue anything else. This is the sin that Hashem doesn't like. Balak was telling Bilam, their God, Soneh Zima. He doesn't like that. Do anything, just don't do that. This is the Brit Kodesh. I gave you a godly power. You know that wasn't supposed to be like that? By the way, we weren't supposed to get this godly power of bringing in children. It wasn't supposed to be like that originally. Kadosh Baruch Hu created man and Adam and Chava. Later on, it was addition that if we come together, we have godly power to bring life into the world. There are many miracles that happen around us every day, but the miracle of life, can you imagine? A man and a woman come together in unity. The man brings a microscopic sperm and the woman's microscopic egg takes it and starts ovulating, and the whole process is just not normal. And a human being is developed for 9 months. Can just see, that's a miracle. And what do we take with that? We take it and we mishmash it with it. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us the keys to the heavenly, godly vault, and we just do whatever we want. So at the time of the flood of Noach, yeah, it says that they were robbing and really robbing from each other and taking from each other and not behaving nice. But there was also a lot of this problem. Needless to say, with Sodom and Gomorrah, they were all homosexuals. That was the thing there. If you remember, when the angels came to Lot, what did the people tell them? Bring them out. We want to try them out. New flesh meat here. So that's where Hashem said, this I can't take. Even Avraham Avinu was not able to stop Sodom and Gomorrah. And what do you think happened there? A few nuclear bombs fell on Sodom and Gomorrah, meteorites, whatever you want to call it. Of course, we read it, okay, so fire came from the sky. That can be easily a meteorite shower that destroyed Sodom. And now if you go now to Sodom, it's a little city. But the biblical Sodom was a very large city, probably like a New York. So Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like this type of behavior. Now, is that possible to really get rid of your system? Yes. Yes, proven. No such a thing. It all depends if you want to, if you understand the severity of it. So a big part of this 40-day tikkun is that you gotta get how do you call it? Break the chains, because we're all in the chains of Lamed Yud Tav, one way or another. Doesn't matter. You come from here, it will come from here. You come from here, it will come from here. So, and I know many women now will say, what is that got to do with me? Don't think for 1 second that Lamed Yud Tav doesn't get dressed, what's called an impregnation, into women that causes them to behave in a certain way, causes them to behave in an immoral way, promiscuity. I don't want to add on that too. And that does happen. Don't think it doesn't happen. Lamed Yud Tav has the ability to impregnate herself. If a woman sins, in other sins, she becomes a chariot to her. And Lamed Yud Tav has a whole army, by the way. The Samech Mem has more wives. We're going to learn of them when we learn about the underground civilization. So the thing is that we all have a part in it. Now, the Zohar says, I don't want to sound too extreme, but the Zohar says that the only ones who are guarding the Brit will survive the coming of Mashiach. So it might be like a minyan. It might have a problem. You know, the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, when he came to Eretz Israel, he didn't have a minyan. He said Eretz Israel was hefker. Yerushalayim, there was nothing there. He couldn't find a minyan for Yom Kippur in Yerushalayim. In the end, they found a shoemaker and another person. So listen, this is not a joke. Now, again, it's not about embarrassing anybody. Listen, I also grew up secular. I also grew up till the age of 30. I was a regular individual secular man. It's not that I'm like, oh what? Things like this exist? Listen. But this is something that it's a problem in the generation, and it has to be overcome. It has to be addressed. Nobody addresses this. Nobody publicly says this is a problem. It's promoted. And if it's not promoted and it happens, then it's hushed down. Don't talk about this. No. Why not to talk about this? So we have to understand what's the danger. We have to understand what it causes, and we have to use any measure we have not to give it power. And it's possible. Don't think it's not possible. Everything is possible. If thousands of people are able to overcome heroin and cocaine, and they're clean for years, you can overcome this. The problem is the psychological allowance. The psychology says, I'm not killing anybody, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm not hurting myself. It's totally natural. That's the problem. It's that barrier that I think that it's okay. You have to flip this idea that it's not okay, then you'll understand the severity. So we will going to start learning more, because I think when people understand, based on what the Zohar says and many books of Kabbalah, what they're saying about this horrible sin, then it will start resonating with their mind that, listen, this is not a simple thing. I'm not talking right now rectifying the damage. I'm first talking about minimizing the damage and putting the damage under control to a point that there's at least no damage. Then we'll worry about fixing it. But first stop with the damage. So I can tell you already that this is something that a Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like. Kadosh Baruch Hu will step forward to forgive many things. Certain things he's like, no, there's certain things I don't want to overcome. I don't want to oversee. So this is one important thing. And again, this doesn't mean that tomorrow, that's it, you go home, throw the computer out of the window, smash your iPhone, and move to some mountain in the Himalayas. But I mean, you can do that if you want. But definitely needs to be focused on, addressed, and dealt in the right way, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like this type of behavior. Not for observant individuals, not from secular people, not from the nations. A lot of people say, does that apply also to the nations? Yes. Yes, of course it applies to the nations. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like that at all. Doesn't like this behavior at all. It's part of the 7 laws of Noach. You're not allowed to, because in the 7 laws of Noach, they're broken into at least 70. I have on my website how I broke it down to 70 laws, which is really like 150 when you really go and dissect them. But one of them is building the foundation of a moral house and marriage. So non-Jews also have to be married legally and keep this structure of the marriage holy. Hashem should help us to be able to overcome this obstacle. I can tell you already that this is the major weight that holds of any person down. You get rid of this weight, you fly like a rocket into altitudes you can't even imagine when you get rid of this filth. And the thing is that when you're stuck in the swamp, you might not notice you're in a swamp, but your thoughts, your everything, your perception, your behavior, everything is infected with filth. So you're not thinking straight, you're not eating right, you're not digesting things right, and nothing is pure. It's just literally unbelievable. When you jump out of the bubble and you look back, you're like, wow, unbelievable. Here at Son Kadosh Baruch Hu should be a will that the Kadosh Baruch Hu will help us to get rid of this. And you know, one of the major things is, like I told you, laminim v'lamalshinim al ti tikva. Stop there when you're praying. Stop, take a moment to meditate. If you're reading from the Sephardi Sidurim, the ones that we use, has all the points what to meditate on, and have in mind, Hashem, I want you to get these chains off my legs. It's like a prisoner walking with a chain in this bowl. Hashem, break these chains. I can't break the chains. You break them for me. You have to have kavanah when you pray. Ask Hashem to release you from this filth. And as Hashem, we should all merit to have this clarity, this cleanliness, this purity, to be able to serve Hashem in the most clear, holy, profound, amazing way.